Well, I think we're back. I got no clue what just happened. Let's be honest, I don't want to know what happened. But Game 3, we are into this one. Fnatic are on blue, Excel are on red. Bands staying relatively the same. Not much difference from game number 1. We probably will see maybe the rel ban from Excel coming in their third slot. Because Fnatic quite clearly want to play this pick. We saw it in game 1 from him. We've seen both teams want to play it. I think Fnatic don't need to ban the pick themselves. They are actually going to remove the Sejuani though. And that's a big change and adaptation from game number 2. Because, let's be honest, Peach was wanting to go in pretty much any time he saw Fnatic. And he was using that ultimate pretty consistently to try and get in and get his team onto a target. Because it was isolating and shutting down the Jace in terms of a flank. Now, with the rel band, will Fnatic first pick the Jace here? Maokai is banned from themselves. I think you've got to go Jace here if you're a Fnatic. You've put a lot of preface on this pick already. But the response from Excel, never mind, they're going to actually look in the Ivan. That leaves Jace open to Excel, but will they be able to pilot it? I don't know. Will we even see it picked up? It may just get left over to Fnatic. That would be pretty interesting if that were to happen. Zeri, hovered. Obviously, you don't want to talk about hovers until they're locked in. It's going to be Patrick Zeri once again, close to a penta in game number 2. What are you pairing it up with? The Rakan, will we finally get to see it with the fact that the rel is gone? I like this though. Give us the Poppy, the flexibility of this pick between jungle and top allows for a bit more of a unknowing output from Excel. And I think you're probably going to see top or jungle drop through to 3rd and 4th rotation for Excel here. And Jace goes through to Fnatic. I like this Poppy a lot though. You think about the picks that are up and available for Fnatic. You've got Kaiser. The Killer Instinct gets stopped if she goes through the Steadfast Presence. You've got the Jace who gets stopped when he goes forward with the Hammer Down. You've also got the Qs from Ivan being denied. And the not. You've got a lot of denial with this Poppy pick. I like this overall from Excel. As they're adapting their draft to deal with what Fnatic want to bring. But we still have to question where things are going. Once we see this 3rd pick, we probably should see support locked in for Excel. Maybe not. Maybe they're just going to lock in mid. Give the Azir comfort to Abadage. That is a nice pick overall for them. You kind of can deal with Jace early. But there's a lot of different styles we're seeing from Excel in this series. They've changed it up consistently and are trying to look to get some form of advantage over their opposite numbers any way they possibly can. Getting into the second ban phase, Kaiser removed from the board. Noah's not going to get his hands on that pick once again. In fact, we were talking about the Steadfast Presence and it being a denying spell. It's not even going to be needed to deal with the ADC. What is Fnatic going to fall back to? Excel are kind of forcing that Aphelios, but they're going to ban it themselves. I'm trying to remember the champion pool that Noah showed. It's very limited. with 3 of his top 4 ADCs banned, there's not really much he can go down towards that has a high win rate and he's found success on. Regardless, draft is going to be pretty interesting from this point forward, as Alistar going to be removed. The denial is not going to be there for the denial isn't going to be there on the Nautilus engages or the Daisy. I like that overall for a last ban from Fnatic. But Rakan comes through. We kind of saw it being teased earlier in the draft. And Jinx, gonna be what Noah defaults to. Kind of surprising that he goes for that overall. It's not seen that much play across the globe, as it hasn't really found that much strength in terms of the amount of damage she can do in a fight. This is the big thing we need to talk about in terms of champion pools and people's preferences. Obviously, teams like G2 have their uniqueness with how they can draft. It's their mass champion oceans that they have. You think about the bot lane for G2. They've got a lot of different things. They've got Draven, they've got technically Desires. They've got the Kaisers. They've got multiple. Hans Sammer's pool is massive in terms of what he can play. He's got Draven. He's got Kalista. He's played. Zeri is also an option. Kaiser. They've also got this Kog'Maw combo. G2 have kind of, if you look at them as as a team, they, I think, prep about 5 different champions a person can play, maybe 6 champs, because in theory, a team could throw 5 bans at a bot laner. Like, in this game, there's 3 bans towards the pool of Noah. And I think that's a heavy investment, but it's worthwhile because his pool seems very limited in terms of what you can find success on. And I don't know who wins this game, but it feels like with how Excel have drafted here, they've certainly looked to exploit his pool. And, you know, I think that we may see a bit of a big win here for Excel. I think they've got a better off draft. I think the fact that you've matched tank top with tank top, you've also got a tank jungle. I also feel Fnatic have kind of been forced with their draft to not go with many dashers, because we could have quite easily seen that Gwen return to the top side for Oscarinin. In fact, I might have liked it a lot more, because you think, well, the pool is very AD, this comp that Fnatic have. So they're, relatively speaking, going into the Scion, who's just going to stack armor and a Poppy. Yeah, Excel have outdrafted Fnatic quite nicely here. I think that you gotta have to consider the output that Fnatic can do here is very limited. And the scaling advantage is going to favor Excel heavily as this game goes on. So Fnatic need to form Snowball early, get themselves going if they want to survive this game and get themselves to match point. Ugh. Time to eat some food because my throat hurts. Apologies, I'm just moving my mic arm. Yes, I did say full mic arm. So, oh, nice. I'm surprised it's that little. Thought he would have had more than that. But he is doing the jungle start with his jungler on the Scion. Not going to get inventive and try and steal away all of the bottom blue camps and go for a dive over one. It is instead just going to be a standard sort of path. I like this from the Poppy. Just immediately bullying the Ivan. Not allowing any form of camps. Because let's be honest, Ivan needs to get a camp. Is forced to smite. That's huge. This is just good play from Poppy, though. Just forcing back. Causing an issue already. Ugh. But yeah. Excel. Getting off to a flyer of a start. I'm already pleased by what I'm seeing. It's certainly impactful comparative to game 1. That's one thing. Also, that was a steal away of the blue buff by Razork, so he's gonna kinda keep the game a little bit more even. There we go. I can actually see my monitors now. I just moved my mic to the other side. I'm still trying to balance it correctly because I don't want to do that. There we go. We'll tighten that. There. Okay, so relatively speaking, jungle fairly even. We have got a call picked up for the Jinx. I like it. Obviously, it's me. I like calls. Oh, fuck. I apologize for that noise. I need a better chair. That's going to be initial engage. Good hook coming out onto Patrick. A lot of damage being put down. It's a 3v3. First blood goes over to Noah, though. Jinx is starting to get excited. Great hook once again. Gets the second kill over to Fnatic. That's the triple. Great play to get an early lead. And Fnatic starting to find that early success they need in order to beat this XL squad. You need to continue to put that pressure in as the wave gets denied into the tower. This is just overall great play from Trimby. Gets the auto. Locking down Patrick. Surprised that the Q actually landed as well. The dredge line does work, and boom. Just a clean kill onto the ADC. Now the damage is fairly limited from XL. And they're just forced to run. Easy as can be. Fnatic get a nice lead as topside. Uh-oh. That's going to be another kill as the bonk goes the hammer. Killing off Odo Wamney. 4 kills to none. And a 2k gold lead already at literally 5 minutes into the game. What is going on? Excel once again. Putting preface on the Drake. Are going to be denied and pushed off it. Trimby tanking it up. Trying to pull it. But the Hex Flash comes through. Poppy gonna deny the dredge line. Trimby, my friend, you have been sacrificed over to Patrick. As Excel finally get on the board. Game number 3. Starting off hot as ever. 5 kills in 6 minutes. We're starting to look like we're getting 1 kill a minute again. Constant fighting's good though. And it's something Fnatic need to do. Constantly harass and fight keeps them in this game. They need to keep putting Excel behind further and further. Build that snowball. Go for plays where they get themselves advantages. Turret plating already going to fall in the bot lane. Trimby is the one to collect it, however. It's not going to go into Noah's back pocket, which is kind of unfortunate as top. So I'm getting taken quite low. Losing out on trades with an Ornit. Gotta feel bad, man. So, first of all, just taking a look at how things are going across the map. And as we get a possible fight in the bot lane. Just seeing Dagnar, like, the one just stood up on his own. It's kind of funny. Harold gonna be started by Fnatic. Gonna knock away the Ornn. Gonna be stolen as well. Excel. Their avenue back in. They get the kill onto Razork. Drake's up. They can go take that now. And they're actually pathing down towards it. Overall, this is a big swing in momentum. If you think about it. Because Fnatic unable to get the Herald, they've been going for that every single game to respond to Excel's big old Drake stack that they like to do. This is kind of a huge switch because now Excel get to put pressure onto Fnatic early. And you have to feel that's going to halt a lot of what Fnatic want to do. So, Drake being started by Fnatic here. Kind of surprising that they're the ones doing this. Considering XL did have a lot more, like, map pressure, but they sacked it to get resets. So, I guess it's trying to get the combat gold into their carries. What XL have kind of gone for here. The issue is, giving up that much pressure does hurt their Herald usage. Because where are you going to drop it? When you don't have a lane that's in your favour, the ability to get a Herald Charge off becomes a lot more limited. And we look at the map and the champions on it. Top lane is a no-go. You've got 2 tanks. You don't really want to be feeding them gold. Or one of them gold. In terms of the Sion. Mid lane's probably your best bet for dropping the Herald. Because Azir will have Consta lane priority into the Jace. I think we actually are going to see it being dropped down there. The other issue is bot lane, you probably won't get it because the waves will be cleared out quite quickly between both players. And instead, it's going to be Excel forcing onto Jace, locking him up, knocking him down. Not going to die in the tower. Instead, it's the Poppy who dies. Emperor's Divide comes through. Not going to result in much for Excel. They sacrifice their jungler to try and get a play. It will not work out for them. And instead, they're the ones who lose out. Topside still seeing the constant trading between laners. I don't really get why you're showing us a nothing matchup because they both do the same sort of job. Herald forced to be dropped in the base of Excel. It's going to take the slow walk down bot lane. And it may not even get to crashing time before plating falls. That's a yikes overall. Slowly walking its way down here. It's got 20 to 30 seconds before it needs to be in turret rage. In fact, it is going to get the crash off. Boop! Plating only goes over to Poppy, however. And that's not the best if you're XL. You've kind of wasted some gold and an opportunity to keep yourselves an advantage over a team that would prefer to be playing for early. Now we are slowly but surely seeing plays. As the plays coming through from XL, they've collapsed onto Razork, catching him out in his own jungle. Turret plates have fallen, and XL, they're looking to keep pressure on the map, force the wave in mid, get themselves the possibility of setup into the top side of the map. With Herald spawning in 10 seconds, you have to feel this game will be contested around this objective as both teams starting to reset. I'm actually surprised by where the Ivan is going. He's not gone up towards that objective. Instead, Razork looking to go towards this Drake. Bit of a surprise overall from Fnatic to do that, as they're clearly prioritizing Hex Drake for themselves. They're the one. This is actually looking like a flip of the first 2 games, where XL focused Drakes early, and Fnatic got the early Heralds. This is a huge change, as they're just starting to put pressure in. In fact, both teams, neither of them going to go for this Herald. It looks like we may just get a fight around a Drake. But we are obviously only speculating here. Trimby kind of looking to control this bottom lane as the Hex Flash is going to come through from Peach. He's locked up the Nautilus, but the damage is not there. Poppy forced to whirly gig away the Nautilus as Oscar Ridden, he isn't bulky enough yet and gets absolutely deleted. TP gonna come in from behind. A second kill over to Patrick Zeri. He's looking to get excited. Over the wall he goes. He's trying to kill off Razork. as the depth charge gonna deny him any more advancement onto the Ivan. Odoamne gets chunked out from the tower a little bit as his team secures the Hex Drake for themselves. Dragon Soul becoming less of a priority now as 2 Drakes have been taken, 1 for either side. We're playing for a Cloud Soul as well. You have to feel priority towards other objectives are going to be what these teams look for. As here, what we see is just a bit of a overcommit from the Poppy. Is able to disengage with her ulti. Then Oscarina TP's a bit too far. He thinks he's going to have his team to collapse in. Isn't able to keep himself alive to get the second usage off. And Fnatic kind of realize they went a bit too deep in that play. Now, what I will say is the gold is still very even. 5-5 in terms of kills. Excel and Fnatic are in a very similar position. I like that statement because that is how Excel want to play. Their condition is scale. As the hook is going to land, target is locked up but not killed off. Odoamne still alive as the engage continues from Fnatic. They had locked down the health bars are so low, but the Emperor's Divide comes through. Fnatic are being swept apart as Patrick, he's untouched. He is shooting. He is killing. A triple kill over to the Zeri. And Fnatic, you overcommit. You get so much in terms of the health bars, but you're unable to finish them off. Excel get themselves out of the jam. Zodo, he too bulky, man. He isn't going to fall. He just stands in front of him. Quickness comes out from Rakan, gets immediately onto Noah, and while he is bursted out, it's just Patrick free firing in this fight. 1 shot, 2 shot. Also a great Emperor's Divide coming out from Abadage. Pushes all of Excel together to allow the Zeri ultimate to actually get a huge amount of worth in terms of the ricochets from this static. It's just a good fight overall from Excel, clearly showing how better they are in terms of the team fight in this game. Now sitting with a 2k gold lead now, technically. This certainly feels very impactful because, as I say, Excel, they're in a position of power in Game 3. They've got the stronger of the 2 comps, and I personally think should do a lot of work here in order to just continue to maintain control. You think Jack Shell picked up already for the Scion, already building more armor, looking for that Sunfire cape. We already saw he can tank a lot of damage from that last fight, being the initial person caught out and not dying. It's a yikes for Fnatic in terms of what they can output. We discussed already, they've got little to no AP damage. The only some of it that they've got is on the Ornn and the Ivan, both of which haven't built any AP items that are classed as AP items. Let's be honest, support items do have AP in them, but they're not classed as AP items. But back to breaking it down. Essentially, Excel have just the winningest comp here. Fnatic, they lack the damage. This game is pretty much over after that one fight, as Odo's just gonna become unkillable, and the fact that Rakan can get in on top of him, it just becomes a lot worse for the likes of Noah if Odo gets a good charge in and can just deny him any room to fight. Plus, with the amount of sort of push that Dion can give as well, we haven't we haven't really discussed the Poppy has armor as well. This is a really beefy frontline for Excel that Fnatic just won't be able to deal with. They may be able to pick off one, but a second is nigh on impossible. They need a miracle, as Excel know that they've got control, gonna start it up. Odo Omne just stands in front of them. He doesn't care. Baron secured for Excel. Running away is the sign. He's burning and dying because a flash comes out from the Nautilus to deny his escape. Noah is going to be able to look to press the advantage. Not going to get anything else. And back to base goes the Baron up XL squad. As Odo just played bouncer for the pit. Didn't allow him in. And now we turn our attention to the Cloud Drake on the Rift. Fnatic want that for themselves in order to kind of maybe have a win con. Their win con's very slim, but it's an option. But yeah, simply put, this is just Odo blocking the damage, not allowing an in, and they didn't even get the Smite secure. Oh, Excel, you're playing on the edge of your lives. Baron would have probably swung the gold back into a more favourable state for Fnatic, but it probably wouldn't have resulted in much other than maybe a couple of outer towers and then maybe one or two inners. But Baron now on XL side of the Rift, we're already seeing them taking the outer tier 2s. They're going to look towards the inhibitor towers and possibly look to get some more pressure on the map. However, Fnatic trying to stop it, using the Ivan brushes to deny vision to XL, to not allow him to know how many members are down here. Daisy dropped, going to be burnt out as well. And Odo just tanking the tower for his team. Quickness is popped. Keeper's verdict is going to land. And they've caught out Limit. He is going to be arguably the first to fall. But the redemption keeps him alive a little bit longer. But he does in the end die to the side. The Emperor's Divide catches the Ivan. Killing spree over to Abadage. But he is going to fall in the meantime. As the shutdown goes over to him. As Noah firing in the rockets, getting excited, but he is knocked into the air as a trade of ADCs comes from either side. Humanoid, he is falling, he is dying to Peach, and the last one to die will be Oscarin. The Ornn will not survive as the ace comes through to Excel, with the beefy front line being the ones to deliver the final blows in that fight. Baron is going to fall off on this reset, you have to feel. As the engage comes through, it's just Sion tanking the tower. So when the engage comes through for XL, they're killing the tower alongside it. They get that, means they can advance forward and force the fight into Fnatic. Great flash out from Abadage to secure Razork's life. And that means no more heals go over to this Fnatic squad. On the edge, Odo clipped Noah with the Q, and that just means doom for Fnatic. No more damage means no more fight, and that on top of it means GG go next. As the gold lead continues to grow, 5k in favor of XL here, and that should probably be the nail in the coffin when this next Baron spawns in 2 minutes. But we may not even need it. Keeper's verdict wound up. Daisy and Leon launched into Nether as the quickness comes through as Abadage, take a bow, son. The Emperor's Divide gets the carries and the lives of Fnatic in this game. Humanoid, the only one remaining who can do damage for Fnatic, needs to keep himself alive, needs to delete the minion wave. The Shock Blast does damage, but it isn't enough. TP is available for Odoamne, who resets, gonna drop that down onto the tanking minion. The Nexus towers are being focused, killing off the first. The second is in their sights as Oscarinin. He's making a last-ditch effort as Peach locks him down under the tower. Humanoid is gonna get a kill onto the Rakan, and the Poppy falls alongside it. It's a double kill. Make it a triple to Patrick, but the base is gone as Abadage and Patrick kill off game number 3. Clinical execution was what we saw there from Excel. We said the comp, once it got ahead, would remain ahead. It would outscale. It would continue to be this dominant force that Fnatic would struggle to deal with. The Bash brothers in the top half of the map, just unkillable. It was undeniably a strong team comp drafted by Excel. Fnatic in Game 3 just weren't up to the task to match him. Let's look at Game 4 and Game 5 on GOL, because it's starting to get late. My throat is slowly dying. We've got a stream tomorrow with BDS, which we'll look at pretty heavily. Obviously, I've watched that one. I watched it in the hotel. But, yeah, there is certainly some aspects we need to break down from that one. So yeah, GOL, my favourite website for breaking down League of Legends. We also need to predict these, which you'll be seeing on Friday, I believe. Actually, maybe not. Maybe Thursday predictions. I don't know when we are seeing the Montpellier. It's a Saturday. It's a Sunday. Do we get both of these? Is that Montpellier? No. Because it needs to be Mad RG2 versus the winner of this. And then the winner of the losers bracket final. Yeah, weird. Guaranteed 2 more best of 5s. So the finals, lower bracket finals. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. So Game 4. Oh boy, we need to talk about draft. So Trist was allowed through. Fnatic changed their bans. They don't want to ban Jace. Excel's ban stayed the same from the last game. So they picked Poppy and Talia. This Fnatic comp looks spicy. I actually want to see pick order. Game number 5, so I apologize. This, just killed that. Yeah. So, presumably, they flex the Talia as long as possible. It looks like they do. This is where they reveal, hi, it's a Kaiser. Or a Felios. And the flex becomes, hey, it's a jungle Talia. Okay. Yeah, so this does look like the flexing of death. So I am seeing a lot of the same things from Excel as what we saw in game number 3. It's in fact pretty much the same draft, except they get their hands on the Ivan. That's kind of surprising. I wouldn't have thought as Peaches an Ivan player, but he has played Sedge. It does sort of look in his wheelhouse. Oh, jeez. It looks like a low-kill game. 3 kills. Jeez. That... See, yikes, honestly. The fact you only get 3 kills. And they're split between jungle, min, ADC. Yeah, that's a yikes overall. They look early game purely because Peach has been involved in all 3. Versus... Oh, Noah popping off on his Aphelios. What's new there? Kind of expected. It looks like a very one-sided game. Yeah, that goal graph kind of says it. Turret plates. There is a turret plate thing. I thought there was. I'm just clearly blind and couldn't find it before. Sorry. Yeah, mid tower. Presumably that just gets insta-gibbed by Herald. Like 11 minutes. That's first tower. Yeah, it looks like they Herald into mid lane. That seems pretty standard from Fnatic. This game looks really boring, honestly. However, Talia jungle does work. Huh. Big that, because you can see Fnatic out-damage them, and then jungle is just a massive diff. Like, Ivan not able to impact the map. Sion only has 2 items. Radiant Virtue Alistar. Yikes, I prefer a Relic Shield in that comp. Because you've got a lot of dive. It would just make sense to have a Relic Shield. Or Locket, I should say. Not Relic Shield. You always have a Relic Shield. Duh. I meant Locket, like Trimby. Similar sort of story for Trimby, because you want to go in. The big difference, I think, is damage from the jungle is massive. That's a big difference between the games. Game 3, Fnatic had little to no AP. Game 4, that Talia clearly does work. And you look at the actual fact that there's no Poppy available to Excel. It means that jungle is a bit more susceptible to damage. You've also got a top laner who has no magic resist, so presumably when Result paid the visit, he took Noah and Humanoid maybe. Humanoid most likely went for a visit up to top lane for a fight. But yeah, as a whole, the draft from Fnatic is a massive difference from Game 3. A lot more damage output, a lot more flexibility and unpredictableness in terms of where things came in. I dare say, if we look at the timeline, it's pick mid, yeah, kind of obvious. Shame it went to Trimby, but he made the play. It's a dive at 5 minutes. They get a lot, honestly. Trading of support, but the plate golds are evened out. Yeah. Result secures Herald. I just realised it's a mid play without the mid laner. Tristan even involved. Surprising that. Because I keep thinking that Talia's mid, but she's jungle. we get to 21 minutes where the fighting kicks off. And then you just start to see a load of blue because Fnatic win out across the map. They double Baron. Baron, turret, Drake, turret, Baron. Now, that looks like a pretty uneventful Baron push. And there's not like there's a mass amount of kills that led up to it. So it just seems like Fnatic kind of stalled out for a couple of minutes, then gets the next Baron. It seems pretty dumb. 1, 2, 3. So they were on Soul Point at that point. They don't even get Soul. Yeah, this game looks pretty dominant from Fnatic, all things considered. When I say dominant from Fnatic, I mean dominant from Razork. He seemed to have a pretty pop-off performance. As we enter game number 5, the last one in the series. Look at the draft. Poppy finally re-added to the bans. Not going to allow that one through again, are you, Excel? So, that's a big change, because Rel remained open, because Excel were forced to kind of ban that themselves. And it forces Fnatic to ban it. Kind of a surprise. Also surprised Razork was allowed to Lear again. He had a massive impact in the last game. So the fact he's on it for the last game of the series is a yikes, in my mind. We've also got Norn. So it's just more damage. I presume they did the same trick. Well, it's not a trick, but the draft order was the exact same, I feel, from Fnatic. Yeah, we'll just go here. Yeah, they change it up a little bit. They reveal it earlier. So yeah, Fnatic just outplay. But I mean, it's the same. It looks like the exact same draft, minus the Kaiser from Fnatic. It's just that draft looks pretty much the same as every other game from Excel. It feels very flat, and it doesn't always work. In fact, I think it's probably got a lower win rate than their more surprise comps that they can bring out. I would prefer that in my mind. But hey, this game, yeah, Noah got fed. It looks like Noah got fed for 2 games in a row. Razor popped off. I presume damage is a similar sort of thing, yeah. It's the same sort of story, except Humanoid actually had a bit more of an impact in this one. Jungle Diff, in terms of performance, I mean, yeah, you can say he's on Sedge, so he doesn't do that much damage. But, like, the impact is more important from a pick. And, actually, Gold was fairly close for most of this until about 24 minutes. Let's have a look at what happened around then. What caused the swing? It clearly must have been a Baron fight. Or an objective fight that leads to Baron. 23. Baron fight into, yeah, Baron. Secured. Excel get 2 back. But Fnatic fire back on their own. This looks like a very extended fight. Because they get to pick onto Limit and Peach. And Odo, so that's 3 members down. Razork secures it. and Fnatic tried to disengage, but they get caught. They're traded, so it's now down to a 3v2. I don't know the respawn times at this point, but Noah's alive. He just comes in, kills off Patrick, kills off Abba, and then turret falls into kill. Trade. Yeah, and then you just get the mass amount of red from Fnatic controlling the game into the end. Because they outscaled. They had a stronger comp. Because On just buffs them all up. Humanoid and Noah actually started to pop off at this point, and Excel couldn't really stop him. I think that's a big thing to note. But yeah, I'm gonna end this off here. But before we do that, let's just break the series down from everything. Firstly, draft. That was a big issue. Because the first few games, well, the first two, was the story of Rel. And you get that pick, you win the game. Game 3, the change came through, we ban Rel. That is no longer allowed in this series. And Excel got themselves the win off the first one. They then end up being forced onto the side of Rift, and they can't deal with it. So because Fnatic bring out a shock draft, they bring out some surprise picks. Humanoid obviously is a big sort of surprise player with the likes of his pool. And with the fact that Talia was originally picked as a mid laner, no one, I don't think, really expected her to be in the jungle for Razork. And so when that came through, it probably surprised Excel a little bit. And they kind of could not adapt in time because of the fact that Fnatic had locked in a draft that denied any sort of, denial. I think the big combo here is the fact that you can use the Poppy E into the Talia wall to lock down and isolate targets. And I think that probably played a huge effect in that game. But that's speculation. Similar sort of story in this game, if you think about it, because you can use the on-horn when a target's trapped. It seems like there's combinations here with the Talia compared to Game 1's combos. They're very limited what XL could do. There's no real funneling ability that can be paired alongside the Talia wall. And I think the huge kind of pivot with what Fnatic have allowed for that sort of play. But yeah, let's take a look at these bottom stats, because they're always nice to see whom was affecting the map more. And I mean, Patrick farmed up a storm and did a lot. I'm surprised how low the DPM from Razork is. But then I remember he played 3 games of Ivan. And that kind of would dampen anyone's DPM. Then again, that DPM is a little bit worse from Peach. On tank duty in the entire series versus a deep damaging mid late AP champ. Yeah, it's still surprises how low some of these numbers are, and it surprises me how high some of these numbers are. Like, that's a huge diff between the supports in terms of how much they outputted. But you have to then realise, how was he able to get that? Well, he played Rel. These are all engaged supports, but you have something to protect and keep them alive longer. And that's something that Excel really didn't have, was champs to keep their team alive. This was probably the only game where they did, and it looked, I think, pretty poor overall from Noah. But yeah, this is his stats. Well, LEC stats for Ivan. 5 wins, 5 losses. Kind of shocking if you think about it. This champion's got a 50% win rate, and it just somehow finds its way into meta. Because if we just isolate this down to LEC, I just want to look at champs in LEC. The highest win rate, or the highest presence, is Maokai. And it doesn't get played a lot, it gets banned. Its win rate is exceptionally high. That one's impressive. And that's pretty much just Broken Blade. That's Hand Sammer on his own. These two. Pretty surprising that Kalista has that high of a win rate and doesn't see that much play. Like, 8 games played. Low presence overall. But you think about the champions that are also currently in the meta, with it being an engaged support meta, Kalista, while obviously facilitates engages, she is very susceptible to being engaged on. So I understand why she isn't picked into the meta. I think when the mythic changes come through and they get dropped, I think we'll probably see a bit more of her. Reason is you can then start to build a bit more of the unique builds and have a lot of damage and effectiveness. I think that would be a big reason why we see her picked back up into the meta. However, I do have to think about, like, her effectiveness as a pick overall, and it just struggles so hard in Terrell. And that's why I think we didn't see Rel, well, her picked into Rel in that series. I think that paid a lot of dividends for Fnatic when they were able to get her with Rel being banned. It just meant that they were able to play a bit more aggressive and do more work. Looking at some of these champions and their win rates is actually disgusting. The fact Rel's probably the best champion in the meta right now. For what's allowed to be played, I should say. 54% presence, which is a lot lower than expected. With a 70%, basically an 80% win rate. This is a support champion putting on quite a decent KDA. Like, these stats are insane for a support / jungle. I forgot to mention it's also jungle. Like, them stats, this is just LEC for the year. It's just nuts. And I think, honestly, teams need to pay a bit more dividends to it during the next weekend of action. And believe it or not, I think I've said this in nearly every game. There need to be more attention put on the pick. But hey, what do I know? Regardless, that's it. We're Dunsky. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. It's kind of split into two for now. I'll look to fix that maybe later. So if you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new and if you want to. I'll see you guys for the predictions for the upcoming weekend game.